Guys, guess who is back? Yep, that's right, I'm back. I promise I'm not doing another massively long break again. I'm really sorry. My infection rate unfortunately went ridiculous, but it's all under control now and I'm on a really good run. So I'm going to get straight into this video because basically I was meant to do this months ago. And some people may have remembered when I passed my driving test on the hand controls, I did it first time with 0 minors. I had a perfect driving test pass, okay? I was number 13 of my driving instructor's students to be able to do that. And he said to me afterwards, some driving instructors actually go their entire career without getting a student who actually passes first time with 0 minors. Or passes at all with 0 minors regardless of the attempt. But I have a few tips for how to do the pass the test first time with 0 minors, or at least sort of like what I did. And one of the things I will probably say before I get into this is, with all the YouTube videos out there, you may be driving on hand controls like me, but make sure you watch all of them and take the tips from the videos that actually matter to you and you can relate to and sort of will help you the most, because these are just sort of like basic tips from everyone else, you know, each person's own point of view, and some points of view may be different to others. So yeah, my first tip for passing is going to be that if you feel like you're getting distracted on your driving test, like you feel like towards the end you kind of just want to relax into it a bit more, do something to get your head back in the game, like do a mirror check, and don't just do the mirror checks for the sake of doing a mirror check. Actually react to what is going on. You do not, if you are trying to turn left and you've got someone about to come up your inside, don't go and turn left. For the love of God, you will get a dangerous fault. Okay? There are people that do it. Believe me. There are plenty of people that do it. And the thing is that people will say that cyclists shouldn't come up the inside of you when you're clearly turning left with your indicator on. But believe me, they do. And related to that as well, when you are doing your mirror signal manoeuvre checks, don't just look in your mirrors, make sure you double check your blind spots. And also when you've done the indicator, the one thing that I did, and I learnt this from my instructor, you should have enough time when you've done your indicator that you can double check in your mirror as you're going. So literally you can double check and make sure that it's definitely clear. Because at the end of the day, the examiner's looking for you being a safe and courteous driver. They're not looking for someone who's absolutely perfect and, quite frankly, cocky. You know, they're looking at whether you're safe or not, and basically whether you know what you're doing. And your driving instructor will not, you know, start telling you to put in for your driving test if they don't think you're ready for it and they don't think you're going to pass. You know, if they're telling you to take your driving test, it's because they know you're going to pass. If they're telling you to book it. And I'll give you a laugh about my driving instructor, which will probably run into my second tip. I was told for 6 weeks to book, like I was dropped for, like he was hint dropping for about 6 weeks for me to book my test. And then he also came out of it and he's like, don't you think you should actually go and book your driving test now? Because you know, you're practically there. And I was just like, okay, fair enough. And that's what I did. And he said to me, you know, you're not going to get one next week. It's going to be like 2 months. And it literally was about 7 weeks from when I booked it to my driving test date. And my second tip, okay, is if you are, when you get your car, so it's practicing, try and get one that's close to instructors, or if not, take the driving test in the car that you do the most, that you drive in the most, that you've learned to drive in the most, okay? I was really lucky with this in that my instructor's car was a GLA AMG line, and my car is a B-Class AMG line. Now, anyone who has sat in a Mercedes will know that pretty much the A, the B, the C, and the GLA and whatever have almost pretty much the same cockpit layout. Everything's where everything else is in the cars. So the show me tell me questions were an absolute brilliant blinder because I'd done them on my car with Brett, And my instructors obviously run them through, and I said to him, if they ask me the fog lights are on the same position, I'm not being stupid. He's like, no, but they're practically the same layout. And I was just like, cool. So it is pretty much the same. And also not just that, because you will then feel more comfortable after you've passed your driving test, because you'll have, if you get one similar to your instructor's car, or of the same specification, like if you can afford it, you'll feel much more comfortable, because you'll feel like you've been in that car. And well, like, no two cars of the same spec are the exact same, because they will have different, you know, slightly different things. They are pretty much similar. And it probably leads into my the thing that actually I think helped me with my driving test as well, is with having those, it meant that I did something that I probably wouldn't have done if I didn't have the car that I do, which basically, my instructor went away to Australia for 3.5 weeks right before my driving test. My driving test was 2 days after he got back. So a lot of people thought I was absolutely bricking it, because he said to me, for those 3.5 weeks, you practice literally as much as possible, because, you know, you need to keep it up. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I was driving all revs. I was doing as much as possible, because I was learning over the winter. So I did driving in the snow. I did literally as much as I could. I did loads of night driving. In fact, I think that's probably why I prefer night driving to driving in the day, because I did so much night driving. And a lot of my lessons were actually later in the evening as well, when it was getting dark and things. I don't mind driving in the day, but I do prefer night. So yeah. The third tip is probably, and it's all, you're going to notice how mine are literally connecting into each other from one tip to the other. Leading on. Practice, 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 and practice more. Okay? As long as the person that that is accompanying you is over the age of 21 and has had their license for 3 or more years, they're the only 2 requirements, guys. They can accompany you in your car. As long as you've got insurance, they don't need insurance on your car, because they're not driving it, you're driving it. And that's one big myth, is that the person accompanying you needs to be insured on the car as well. No, they don't. It's a massive myth. And the thing is, at the end of the day, the more you practice, the more confident you're going to get with driving, the more confident you're going to get with being on the road, the less like you are going to be making mistakes. And, you know, when it comes to manoeuvres and stuff, you're going to be able to actually just feel so much more confident. And the thing is as well, is that your manoeuvres are like 30 seconds of your driving test. It's really not that much. Most people fail on the actual driving and not the manoeuvres, which is why I said, you know, if you feel like you're getting distracted, do a mirror check. You know, do a mirror check. Keep an eye on your speed. Keeping an eye on your speed's a massive one. You know, make sure you don't go over the limit and that you actually drive into the road conditions. You know, if it's massively heavy rain and they take you on a 70-mile-an-hour dual carriageway, but you can't see the road, say, 10 metres in front of you, don't do 70, okay? You know, because that's not driving to the road conditions. Whereas if it's a really clear day, do 70, because that's the road limit and the road conditions are allowing for it. You know, it's simple things like that. And the thing is as well, is that I think people get this really nervous block before they go on a driving test, and it just like, you do stuff on a driving test you'd never normally do in a driving lesson when you get that nervous block. And right before your driving test, I will definitely say this: do something that relaxes you, because your driving instructor will normally take you out for an hour get your head in the game, sort of like drive before your driving test. Make sure that you're confident and comfortable, and things like that. And I'll give you a funny story about mine, and this is no lie. And I'm glad I did it then, and not. My driving test is at 10:14 in the morning. Now, if anyone knows me, they know that I don't do mornings. I really don't do mornings. At all. I'm a night person, not a morning person. I can happily stay up until 1, half 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. But you asked me to do a driving test at 10:14. You're laughing. The problem is that I had a disability driving test because I am a wheelchair user and I do drive on hand controls. And contrary to popular belief, we take the exact same driving test as everyone else. Okay, the only difference is that I had a little bit of extra time just to talk about my adaptations, although the guy who, my driving examiner, basically, he knew what hand controls were, so I didn't exactly have to explain anything to him, which is actually really helpful for me. So, yeah. But definitely do stuff that relaxes you, just get your head in the game. The really funny thing, funny story with my one, I'll let you know, I'll tell you about it. In my warm-up hour, we were coming up to a set of traffic lights where there's a set for turn right and a set for straight on. I saw the red on turn right and started slowing down, and my instructor's like, "What are you doing?" Complete blank. Didn't realise that the green arrow for straight on was on and we were going straight on. And I'm like, for God's sakes. I was half asleep as well. And all the driving test slots were 10:14, so I was stuck. Because here's the funny thing with examiners, and they won't admit it, but we all know this. People who take disability driving tests. Some examiners will put the disability driving test at 10:14 so that they can get an extended lunch. No joke, because of the extra time that you get given, like, they know that it's only going to take a couple of extra minutes, if that, to fill out the paperwork and things like that and put the restriction codes on and talk about your hand controls or whatever adaptations that you've got. But they will put it in for a full test, a full disability test anyway, so they can have an extra hour's lunch break. Yeah. You're probably thinking what I'm thinking as well. The cheek of them. They couldn't move them to the afternoon so that some of us who don't like the mornings and don't like driving in the morning and still are under the effects of some of their medication from the night before can actually have a bit of a line and feel more refreshed. No, they don't think of that whatsoever. But anyway. So yeah, despite the fact that I had that pre-test absolute, I bombed it, basically. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, absolute, what the hell are you doing, Steph moment. I still managed to pass with 0 minus. So, I guess that's what I'm trying to say is, nerves and everything, just try and relax right before. Breathing techniques, whatever relaxes you, just find something that does. The other thing I would say as well is, oh yeah. This is the biggest one. This is the biggest one. Absolute biggest one, okay? For the love of God, right before your driving test, okay? I don't care if you think you have the world's most perfect vision. I really could. Like, this is me to you guys, and I don't think anyone ever picks up on this. Make sure you go to the opticians and get your eyes tested, okay? And the reason I'm saying that is because those number plate checks, if you can't do them, your test is cancelled and you don't get a refund there and then. If 20 metres isn't that, if you've got slight short-sightedness or slight long-sightedness, you'll be fine. But anything more than that, and you won't pass the eyesight test for driving. And I had laser eye surgery when I was 17, and unfortunately I had a burn injury on one of my eyes, so my laser eye surgery in that eye needs to be corrected, and that's been done luckily. But this was before I was due to take my test, and I was borderline in one eye, but I was okay in the other eye, so I was able to take my test without needing to go back for glasses or contact lenses. But that's, it's the only requirement for driving is that you can read a number plate from. It's either like 20 or 25 metres. I think it depends on the number plate format. But just make sure that you are absolutely fine and and go to your opticians and get it done, because at the end of the day, if you're 17, you're taking your driving test, or actually, 17, 18, taking your driving test, and you're still in college, you can get your eyes tested for free. So you don't even need to pay for it, and if it turns out you need glasses, they give you a voucher towards them as well. And, you know, that is the biggest meeting. You know, I'd hate for you guys to be pretty much ready for your driving test, absolute buzzing, get there and fail your eyesight test, and literally you failed your test before you even got in the car. The other thing is, as well, that I would say, the other tip before I go, and this is my last one, know your show me, tell me questions. Okay? These questions, everyone should be able to ace them, right? No questions asked. Everyone should be able to ace them. Go through them, like, get your instructor to go through them with you right before, like, literally in your warm-up hour. That's actually what me and mine actually did that right outside the test centre, funny enough, right before I went in. So I'm quite lucky I have photographic memory, so I literally just said exactly what I needed to do. But I knew them anyway because I'd done them with Brett the week before, and I'd been doing... Brett had actually asked me throughout doing the practicing, actually in the last sort of probably 2 months before I took it, what, like, different show me tell me questions. When they do the show me tell me questions, and they do, I believe they now have to ask one on the move. The driving test actually changed. I don't know if it has changed or it was changing. I know it was due to change in the April, and I literally took my driving test the 23rd of March. I think the new one is in. I'll have to ask my cousin, actually, because she just passed her test last week. So, yeah. But if it is the new one, they ask one on the move. But the one before that they ask, like, yes, okay, you only get one minor if you fail them both. But it actually shows the driving examiner already just how much you actually know. Like, if you ace them, it kind of sets them up for, okay, you're potentially gonna pass. The other thing that I will say as well is driving examiners are there to help you. Like, if you do get a little bit stuck, you know, they will give you hints. Like, if you forget directions, for example, and I actually forgot directions on mine. I don't even know if you have to do directions anymore, if it's the 20-minute sat-nav thing that they do now. But if you do still do the direction ones, I actually couldn't quite remember. So rather than asking them sort of like, oh, it is this way, you know, rather than sort of like saying to them, I can't remember or whatever, if you just sort of like think, and it's like, you know, I said to them, you know, what was the direction at the roundabout again? Was it left? And they would like, yes, it is. And that's okay because you're showing your confidence across. Whereas if you end up being really nervous about it, you know, it could kind of make you more nervous, and that's when you're more likely to make a mistake and get a minor. So just be really confident. You know, don't be scared to actually ask for the directions again when they do actually give them to you, if you do forget, or if you do just want to confirm them just in case you go the wrong way. And the thing is, if you go the wrong way as well, they're not going to give you a minor as long as you go the wrong way safely and, you know, with observations and everything done correctly. They're not going to give you a minor, and they will help get you back on the right track. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much. I hope that's kind of given you some tips. Like I said before, make sure you go and watch other people's videos as well. I know this is a little bit different because I passed mine on hand controls, but like I said, if you are doing a disability driving test, it is the exact same driving test as everyone else, and believe me, anyone that says that your driving test is easier, nah, your driving test is the exact same, guys. Sorry about that. The other question I got asked as well by someone was whether you could use a reversing camera on a driving test. Yes, you can. I used my instructor's reversing camera for my manoeuvre, which was a reverse around the corner. And my driving instructor's camera, like, if you've ever sat in a Mercedes or any similar one, those cameras are amazing, because those cameras will actually have guidelines and tell you exactly where you are in relation to the, like, wherever you're going. So I probably had, like, it's the best driving aid ever. And that's what it is. It's a driving aid. It's not a replacement for your mirrors. Don't think that just because you've got one of those in your car that you cannot do your mirrors. Believe me, you still need to do your mirrors looking at your back, like your side windows and back windows and whatever. Main reason I actually used the reversing cameras because I could look out the side window just, but the back window, because my my spine is really difficult for me to look out of. So I could only really do that on the mirror. I can actually physically turn to have a look out it. So I actually just, I used the camera for that, and yeah. But no, that's pretty much it. if you have any other questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. Yeah, good luck on your driving test. I really hope you pass. Please pop down in the comments if you have, and what your favourite tip is. And if you have any other tips to help people as well, feel free to put those in the comments as well. Make sure you read them, guys, because at the end of the day, we're all here to help each other. That's why you came to watch YouTube videos on driving test passes and tips. A couple of driving test pass videos I would say definitely go and watch. Go and watch Joe Weller's driving test pass. If you really want to laugh, go and watch it when he failed as well, because it's hilarious. He actually went into a rage. Sorry, Joe, had to pop that one in there. And yeah, there's a driving instructor one on here as well, which is really good. There's quite a few actually. So yeah, go and have a look. Like I said, get all the tips that you need. Condense the ones you don't really need to worry about, and the ones you do need to worry about, and make sure that you take them on board and everything. Like I said, all the tip videos are personal views from everyone else. So, yes. Thank you so much. I promise I will put another YouTube video up soon. And, yeah, hope you have a great day, evening, night, wherever you are. And once again, good luck on your driving test, and hopefully you pass. So, yeah. Bye-bye.